Episode 2, Roots of the Past. Welcome back to the Widow's Vineyard. I'm so grateful you're here. Whether you've just discovered us or you've been with us from the beginning, thank you for tuning in. Your support means the world to us at Laotong Publishing. Now, let's return to Clara's story, where love, loss, and a little hope are growing with the vines. The morning sun crept slowly over the horizon, casting a soft golden glow across the vineyard. Clara stood barefoot in the kitchen, wrapping her hands around a chipped coffee mug. The farmhouse was quiet, save for the distant call of birds and the hum of the refrigerator. She had slept, but not well. Her mind had been spinning since Daniel's visit. The way he had offered to help, the look in his eyes when he spoke about Uncle John, the calm, steady way he moved, like he'd walked these rows 1,000 times and still wasn't finished learning from them. She sipped her coffee and stared out the window at the vineyard. The vines looked less like a burden this morning and more like a mystery, wild, wounded, waiting to be healed. Kind of like me, she murmured. Later that morning, Clara made her way to the barn. The structure leaned slightly, as if weary from the years, but inside it smelled of old wood and oil and earth. There, tucked on a shelf beneath dusty tools and tangled wire, she found them, her uncle's journals, dozens of them. She pulled one out and blew across the cover. 1994. She opened it and ran her fingers down the pages. Bible verses in the margins, weather notes, pruning schedules, and prayers. So many prayers. Father, keep me faithful in the small things. Give me wisdom to tend the vineyard and the people you've placed in my care. Bless Clara. She's lost. Bring her home, Lord. Clara's breath caught in her throat. He prayed for me? All these years, he was praying me here? Her knees wobbled, and she sank down on a nearby bench, the journal cradled in her lap. Lord, I don't know what to do with this, she whispered. I came here to manage vines, not unearth years of prayers I didn't ask for. But maybe this wasn't just about grapes after all. By midday, Clara was back out in the field, sleeves rolled, hair pinned up in a loose twist, and the sun pressing warm against her shoulders. She moved slowly down the first row of vines, pruning shears in hand, squinting at the leaves like they might whisper instructions if she stared long enough. She was trying, really trying. There was something deeply humbling about being surrounded by so much life and not knowing what to do with any of it. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for a cluster of tangled stems. Lord, she whispered under her breath, I'm thankful you've given me this chance. I just wish I knew what I was doing. What if I ruined something? She trimmed a leaf that looked too dry, but as soon as she did, doubt crept in. Was that the right one? Did I just harm the plant? Clara sighed, brushing her wrist across her brow. The vines rustled, as if sensing her hesitation. Just then, the sound of footsteps crunching across dry dirt broke her concentration. She turned to see Daniel approaching with a toolbox in one hand and a bucket of clippers in the other. Figured I'd show you how to properly thin the vines, he said with a faint smile. Relief washed over her faster than she wanted to admit. Clara tried not to blush. That obvious that I don't know what I'm doing? He chuckled. It's not about knowing. It's about learning to listen to them. The vines'll tell you what they need. Clara smiled. You sound like a vine whisperer. Maybe, he said with a shrug. Or maybe I've just lived long enough to understand that most things, vines, people, faith, grow better when you stop forcing and start paying attention. As they worked side by side, the silence between them grew companionable. Clara noticed how careful Daniel was, not just with the plants, but with his words. Gentle, measured, too measured. You worked this land with Uncle John a long time? She asked casually, snipping a dead leaf. Almost 15 years, he replied, not looking up. And before that? A pause. Daniel wiped his brow with his sleeve. I had my own vineyard once. Lost it, after my wife passed. Lost a lot of things then. Clara looked at him. I'm sorry. He nodded. Me too. She waited for more, but he bent to his work and said nothing else. The air suddenly felt heavy with unspoken things. That evening, Clara returned to the journals. The more she read, the more she felt like she wasn't just learning about her uncle, she was being discipled by him. His words bled wisdom, grace, patience, and always trust. Faith is planting when there's no sign of rain. It's pruning when the fruit hasn't yet come. Clara closed the journal and looked out the window. The vines swayed softly in the twilight breeze. Lord, she whispered, if I'm supposed to do more than run this vineyard, if I'm meant to be part of something deeper here, I'm listening. I'm still scared, but I'm listening. Somewhere out beyond the vines, Daniel stood alone by the barn, staring out at the land. In his pocket was a folded receipt, dated 3 years ago, the final payment he had made to restore what he once took from the church. No one knew, and that was fine by him. If this story spoke to your heart, I'd love for you to join me for the next episode. Subscribe to Laotong Publishing here on YouTube and be the first to know when new episodes release, from The Widow's Vineyard and other faith-filled series from Grace and Love After 50. And if you know someone who needs a little hope today, feel free to share this with them. Stories are meant to be passed on. Until next time, may grace and love follow you always.